Time to go to the plater. You thought I was finished with the plater with the XC, didn't you? But there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 strings there. Another one on the floor, and there's a box of stuff there with some more stuff in the trailer. So I'm going to put all that in the car and go down there now. Right, we have plated jewellery for our Sigma. Check this out. Alternator pulleys. Good thing about this, everything being oil soaked meant that the metal underneath was in very, very good condition. These are the clamps for the cold air intake, all that sort of stuff. And it all got done really reasonably. Bonnet strut there, even the dipstick. And you can see the dipstick condition is beautiful. And the rubber's still intact because it doesn't affect that. There's wiper bolts here, washer jets. One of the jets, the only kind of failure in the whole thing is one of the jets didn't plate properly at the end. I can't remember yet. It might be that one. No, it's not that one. It must be this one. It's a different colour. But all these clutch cable guards underneath, core bracket, absolutely beautiful stuff. Even the heat riser for the front of the manifold. This thing here is knackered though. This is the hose that goes along the engine block, and that's not a big deal. We can cut that and just rejoin hose to it. That's not what worries me. What worries me is the end here. Now I could cut that off and braze a bit to it. So we cut it and just braze another piece, or alternatively find another one of these. They might be difficult to find in good condition though, because they do corrode. But everything turned out really well. Even the fuel filter bracket, it is absolutely exquisite. So I'm very, very happy with that. It was reasonable. We've got it all back. We don't need to get anything else done. This is all the stuff in the engine bay, wiper motor parts, everything. So it's all back, all very good. I've got to paint that air cleaner too. So we'll bag and tag this. It shouldn't be out of the car for too long. And we should be ready once we've painted the engine bay to stick all the stuff back on. So what are we supposed to do when it's raining? Can't do any cutting and welding out here. Can watch telly, but we're certainly not going to do that. I think we'll go in the garage and do some work. A couple of things I want to look at. One's the steering wheel. I've got to do some painting, and I don't like that. That's all gunk that's built up, and I just want to repaint that silver bit. Not sure if I can separate the plastic hub, so we're just going to get a screwdriver and see if we can pull some stuff off. And if I can take the plastic apart, I'm sort of doubtful that I can. But if I can, that's mad. That's good. Oh, yeah, I think we can. Look. Oh gosh, look at this stuff. Oh, look at this. It does come off. God, a lot of screws to undo a steering wheel on a Sigma. And we can do a much better repair like that. It just means we've got to mask up around the edges. But that is cool. Now I know that, we can actually pop these ones back in. The less screws we're storing, the better. So I'm just going to pop those in. That's the reason that was taped up. Because we would have had the horn coming on, going around corners, and just sort of erratically. Oh God. Dang, I love when people do crap like that. So we'll make a new wire for that. That's not even a big deal at all. So we can just sort of pop all this stuff back together. It just makes it easier at reassembly time if everything's sort of back in one piece, or two pieces in this case. It's easier than bagging and tagging, if you know what I mean. So we can just chuck them in a box and forget about them until this is done. And we'll move to the next thing. Well, we'll take this old 351 for a drive with some Sigma fuel and a Sigma battery that says 351. So hopefully it works. This one got a healthy drink of fuel as well. So, as I said before, I can't film while I'm driving, so I'll be back when I come back. Thought I could smell burning plastic. I'm wondering if there's a shopping bag or something. Looks alright. Probably just my imagination, I think. So with any old car or resto, whatever you're doing, pulling stuff apart is necessary because there's all sorts of secrets. And you saw that earth wire on the steering wheel. We never would have known about that, but it would have become problematic later on. Instrument cluster, we've got problems with the clock. And this is as we've taken out. There's something terribly loose in there. I've also got something flapping around here, which ultimately I would think should be clipped in, and it's not. To be quite candid, I'm actually not interested in this cluster. I want a tap dash. That blank up there, that line up there you can see is taped off. That's for the fuel pacer, which will flash. There's a vacuum switch under the bonnet. And of course it will illuminate that light, and it also doubles when you're low on fuel. So SEs and GLXs do have a bulb in there instead. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop all these out. I don't think I'm going to be able to repair this, to be honest. I don't know my way around them. Harvey watches these videos and he is an instrumentation specialist, and he knew before he even saw the cluster it was a flex drive one. A couple of grey globes, not a bad idea. They're just wedges, just to replace the globes. I think what we'll do is take off some of this stuff, just so we can get the printed circuit off. I don't know, and what I would love to know, is when you change this to a tack type dash, are the pinouts on these two the same? Because on the ZH Fairlane and XC Fairmonts, GXLs, they're different, and you will blow your dash to bits if you fail to redo the wiring, reroute the wiring. Seeing that's quite a relief, because it tells me that maybe they're the same. And there's our printed circuit board. Printed circuit ribbon, don't know what you call it. But it looks to be in very, very good condition. And it is, as Harvey said, a flex drive piece of kit. So that's cool. I think this thing's a mess. Even the trip meter's not zeroing properly. None of these things seem to be working. I really would like to ditch this. Maybe put it back together and hang it on the wall. Don't know. But I'm not loving it. I don't really want to invest too much time in it. But we'll have a look. We'll have a look. There might be some spares in here we can use if we can find another one. Even the glass on these can't be used on the other ones because the other ones are smoked, which comes off, and they don't have that. Does that light? I think that is actually blanked off. It hasn't got the fuel thing there. Let's have a look. Fuel gauge will pop out. It's a fuel gauge. The temp gauge should pop out, which it does. We can test these. The voltmeter isn't popping out because it just isn't. I think we've got to unbolt it from the edge. 2 gears have fallen out from the clock. So my assumption that I can fix this is looking really, really unlikely. So I think what we'll do is we'll pop the clock out, and we need to find out what the heck's going on, because I'm not interested in paying $140 for a dash that's got a clock in it. I would sooner just this not working until I find the right one and get the dash that I want, because this is what I want to do. Oh crap, this is really shit itself. Hang on a minute. Yeah, Houston, we may have a problem. Look at this is rooted. Gee whiz. Oh, that's shagged. I wonder though if we can still get it to go. I wonder. What have we got going on here? Okay, so this stuff still works. Kind of. Sounds pretty raspy. Oh, that's knackered, isn't it? She's rooted. But you know what? I'm still going to have a go at it. So as long as that coil's still working and that crystal's still vibrating and giving the right frequency, it's unlikely that cap's going to be a problem. It looks like the 2 halves of the clock have actually fallen apart. So let's just play with it. Stuff it. Let's see what happens. Actually, first I might take the hands off. All at once, because we can, because we don't care. There's a wave washer and some gears and crap there. I wonder if that spindle is still, look at that, that'll work. Maybe we can resurrect this. That'd be pretty cool if we could, wouldn't it? Let's just take this motor off, because it would be, there's only 2 gears. We only need to find out where those 2 gears go, and that can't be hard. All I've got to do is put the right glasses on. I reckon I can do it. And all that comes out as one. So why the heck did I think it just fell apart, didn't it? So I think I've got this back together now. There are 4 gears, and you really can only put them in one way. Otherwise they foul against other stuff. Now, the issue is, well, there's 2 issues. Firstly, I've forgotten that thrust washer. But more importantly, this thing doesn't click together. It's all going to fall apart, and if I drop it, it'll all go tits up. So I think what we're going to do is just electrical tape it together to give it a road test. And this is sort of elasticized, so it will hold the thing where I want it to be for now, until we figure out if it's worth doing anything else to it. I think it's alright. So why don't we get some hands? There's a little bush there, but we're not giving 2 hoots about that at the moment. Right, so we've got that hand. What have we done with the other one? So I'm just going to pop him down on there. And we should get some sort of, I don't know, idea whether what I've done is BS. Which invariably it is, because they're not moving, which is kind of bad. Do we have to pull that in? Okay, so that's still not working, so I've got it in wrong. Right, we'll pop the thrust washer on, put that in there. The issue is I'm not getting, right, that goes that way. Okay, so we're doing this differently already. Already I'm more convinced this looks like it's fitting a bit better. There's a really, really small gear against the end of that spindle there. No, against this one here, which I'm sure runs on that brass one. Which I think's that. And then we've got this small here that runs against the outside of that. So I reckon I had this about face, and I reckon it's going to work. It's already doing more there. So let us go for round 2. Does that spin? Yep, it feels like it's doing the right thing. So let's pop the hour hand back. Cool bananas, guys. I'm feeling excited. So then we've got to stick that there and get in the son of a gun. We should see some seconds and minutes moving. So I think what we'll do now is we'll go and get my little Box Hill power supply and see if we can get it working for good. This is my little power supply I made when I was a student at Box Hill. I'm going to go for 100 milliamps. I don't have banana plugs because I don't. And let us see what friggin' happens. We've got zipper at the moment. What happens if we knock the voltage up? Oh yes, look at that. It's working, people. So, let's try something. Let's go for a number like, let's go for 12 o'clock because it's, we'll just call that 12 o'clock. And we'll just leave that connected for a moment and see if it works. I'm tipping it's going to be fine. Right, it's been a few minutes now and it's showing a few minutes, probably 7 minutes there. So I'm going to pull it apart, connect it, and I'll stick some fabric tape around it for now. That'll last for a little while. Right, so I've put our clock back together. We've used fabric tape on it. This stuff just doesn't age. It's great. It'll hold there for ages. You get a few years out of it before it falls apart. So I'm not going to glue it for now. I'm just going to leave it like that, and I've got the hands on, so I can set it up on the right time and all that sort of business. In the meantime, what I want to do is I just want to stick some juice in these things and see what happens. Okay, so if I put 5 volts in, it's a very slow moving gauge, but we got something. I think that regulator on the dash is knackered, but it doesn't say a value on it, so I can't just get a normal FET or anything like that and stick it in. So I've gone for 5 volts on the temp. This is just earth through the sender on the block. I'm just going to go a bit higher. So it was chewing up more than 100 milliamps there, because the little limit light on the power supply came down. But we can see there that it is doing something. So that's cool. Now the fuel, and this was the one where we thought we had a dodgy sender. Let's stick him on 5 volts. And straight away we're doing something. So I would say the sender's knackered. The temperature sender on the block had a dodgy terminal. On there, 7 volts. And 7 volts is cruising up towards full very quickly. So again, I can turn that off. That's cool. We know this is all working. So I think what we'll do now, our clock's running on 12. I'll set the time up correctly. And we can just pull that out and move it accordingly. And we'll leave that on for a while and just see what happens. We'll monitor it. Is that negative? Yep. And we should be able to keep good time. At least I'm hoping so. I'll put that up to 100. Now, even though we don't intend to use this, it's just one of those exercises because we can. That's just basically all this is. So I'll stick him on 12 volts. It's 10 minutes to 5. So it's looking cool. And we'll come back in a while and see how it's going. I've just given this a wash. This rear carpet is full of dark stains. The problem is though, some of it's rotted underneath. See that brown down there? It just comes out. And I kind of impaled it over the fence. So I'd send a new one. But for the purpose of this, I think we just continue to wash it off. I feel the brown coming out of it now. The front one's really rotted. I went to take the what do you call it? Underlay off, and it's completely rotted, and I don't know if I can save it really. It's got a day of rain, so I can't do any cutting and welding. But you can see here, like that's my fingers from underneath. It's actually knackered. So I don't really know if it's worth trying to save it. I'd like to. I think once it's fitted, we might get away with it, but I think the moment someone sticks their feet on, they're going to get caught. We can just throw a mat down, I guess. It had some rubber mats there anyway. But yeah, that's a bit of a shame. I think that's a real big shame. Check this out. A lot of this stuff's green. I wonder if that's coolant. There's a lot of brown in there, but there's a real overtone with green, and it looks to me, look down there, that could be glycol. So I might just pull that core out, it'll only take a minute, and pressure test it, because I reckon it might have been leaking in the past. That's where the water was coming from. It wasn't coming from above. The clock is keeping time. We've been going for 1 hour and 7 minutes. If we look up there, it only sort of roughly timed it, but it is keeping time. It's working very well. Rightio, well, looking at this thing, let me give this a bit of a clean. I'm just halfway through taking those grommets out. Oh, I've given this a smack with the buff. It's still dirty down the bottom, or scratched up down the bottom. I don't care. Is that right? Yep, that's about right. So it'll do for now. So we can just put him away for the time we go to put it back in. Well, we can take the old XD for a drive, and it's got lots and lots of Sigma fuel in it. So I might go and burn some of that off now. I'm not allowed to film while I'm driving, so guess what? I'm going to turn this off until I get back. Well, the rain's gone away, the sun's out, sort of, and so is the welder. Let's have a bit of a look around here. Cut out some rusty stuff. There's still this structure in here now. A couple of small rust holes, there and there. I've just tacked them up with the welder. That's still solid, so I'll put a bit of phosphoric on there. And then once that goes off, we can start putting in structure. That's a funny sort of shaped patch that I had to make there. So done that. I'd like to, I'm going to cut that out. I don't like that, so I've started cutting, you can see there. If it's chewed away at the corners, I'm cutting that out. That's coming out too, and so is that. The rest of it's all right at the back here. So once that's done, I'll etch it, do a bit of light skim filling, and that window can go back in. This I need to fix, very minor. Oh, that bit there, that's nothing. Today I want to have the metalwork done around just the screens. So I'm going to start chopping this, get rid of that. This is bothering me. I really want to take it out. Just because once I start driving, if I find out the clutch is knackered, I could have had to bolt the engine out with like 4 bolts or something, 2 nuts, and it's out, you know. But I still don't know if I will. I might leave it there and sort of take a punt. Round here's all right. I'm going to treat that. I'm going to tack that, treat that. I think it'll be all right. Might cut that out. So anyway, look, I've talked enough. I need to get back to work. Before I forget, I've already put some phosphoric acid on the rusty spots on the floor. Very, very minor surface rust, so we'll edge prime that today as well. Questionable whether we even need to cut some of this stuff out. I've just taken that bit there. That's this piece. Looks terrible. Underneath looks pretty good. Just a bit pitted. Oh, look, I've done it now. So that's sort of damaged enough to redo. Probably could have cut it shorter though, because it's pretty clean up there. It doesn't matter though. I might do that in 2 pieces to keep the radius. Otherwise, we're all going all right. Well, yep, I lied, but I took this out for 3 reasons. And the first one is because it was dead easy to get out. There was like 6 bolts, and then I've got the whole thing out. The second reason is it's much easier to clean. I couldn't clean behind it before. Now I can. There's a Welsh plug here. Might as well do it. You can't do that Welsh plug in the car unless you take the head off. So I want to take the head off, so might as well do that at the same time. But the real reason I did this is because of the clutch. I need to have a look at it now. I had everything stripped out of the engine bay. That's a bit of work. It's minimal work getting this thing out. And it would be such a pain in the neck if I finally got the thing back on the road and I found the clutch was worn. That means I've got to get it up on a hoist, take the gearbox out, you know, and do it that way. So I think it's much better to do it this way, even though we did want this to be a nice quick job. It's still not far. It's still not a long job. This is a very quick thing to get out. So it just means I can clean it up properly, I can paint it properly, I can look at the clutch. It's just a better way to be. So I think what we'll do first is we'll take it out and we'll have a look. What's involved with doing this? 6 bolts. So we'll try with the right size socket. We'll just do them diagonally. And this one down here, you reckon? Well, someone's been here before, obviously, because the locating dowels have been machined off. Oh, let's have a look. No grooves, you can just rough that up with a bit of paper. It doesn't look bad at all. I don't think we'll change that. There's a lot of room between there and the rivets. I don't think that's worth changing. Spigot bearing's good. Should we bang the flywheel off, do you think? That was loose. My airline's knackered. It leaks. Anyway, never mind that. Let's have a look at this guy. Okay. Well, it remains good. We can take this off and we clean this properly. And I reckon we've done the right thing. That's been good news in there, but it could have been a lot worse. The flywheel's been machined not too long ago. A while, but you know, it's not like it's flogged out or anything. The rear main looks alright. I'm not going to change that. There's one of the sort of mentality with these things is just, well, you got to just do it. I don't think I really want to, because then I don't want to upset the sump gasket or any of that. I think that's alright to leave it. I'll take this off. I'll do that Welshie. There's another one behind the bell shaft. I don't know if you can see because it's sort of silhouetted. See in there? That's a pain in the ass. So much easier without the engine in. That's what I reckon. Carpets are nice and dry. They look in wonderful condition. Nothing wrong with those at all. That's the rear, of course. There's a bit of a couple of holes, but they're well and truly usable. But I didn't persevere cleaning the front one because it's all rotted out in there where the stitching was done. And over there, that's actually, I think we're best replacing them. I've just got to see if they've got a similar colour. I think we might be able to do is reuse the heel mat on a new carpet, because that is what factory Mitsubishi ones are like, and it's in perfect condition. I think it'd be a shame not to use that. Yeah, I can't see from under here. I don't know if it's glued on. It looks, yeah, it's stitched on, so I can unpick that. So if we do go down the new carpet route, which I'm pretty sure we will, I might unpick that heel mat and get them to use that instead of the generic one they use, because the ones they use are more like a Ford one. I think they've got General Motors ones too, but I doubt they'll have a Mitsubishi one, so I wouldn't mind reusing the heel mat. Nice. That plate will clean up nicely. It looks like it's galvanised. The ring gear looks pretty good too. Dragging it around on cement's probably not doing it much good, but that's alright. You can see it's been crashing just there, but that's not nearly worn enough to replace. So that's cool. So I've cleaned the back of that up. I'm not going to show that. The mounts are really soft because of the amount of oil, and also it's loose against the block. I didn't undo those. Those bolts are loose. So I don't know. I reckon it's probably a good thing we took it out. Well then, just a quick patch up, huh? Get it back on the road. And we end up taking an engine out. The only thing left, there's the whole shell with the doors and the suspension, and the brakes are on. And the gearbox is still in too. That's it. The car's completely naked then. I'm not taking doors off. I don't need to. There's a slight bit of surface rust on the outside of the right and rear, I think. I can get to that on the car. None of that stuff has to come off. Yes? Suspension's all coming out, but that'll come out once all this other stuff's back in, because that'll be the last thing I do. I'll do the suspension, I'll do the brakes, and I'll put a muffler on it and all that sort of stuff. So it is still comparatively simple. You know, I've done exactly the same on that as I have on the MG. As we pulled the engine out, we tarted it up and did the interior up and all that sort of stuff. Did all that on the MG as well a couple of years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago now. A while. It's been a while. So it's the best way to do it. It's going to give me a car that's in really, really good nick and I have peace of mind with. So that being said, the next one we will finish off all the metalwork and paint it. Get that all finished, and of course once that's in, the screens can go in, then I can put the interior back together. There's a guy coming to do the XC screens. He's putting a new front tinted bed laminated in, which is what I want in that Sigma, and he's refitting the rear one. The Sigma's good in that it has got a screen seals. It's just got basically the urethane in, so they're nice and quick. So once they're in, it's easy. I've burnt the paint around the window frames, so I've had to cut quite a lot of rust out, but that's what happens. I'll touch it up, make it look semi-decent, and later on in the year when the Plymouth goes for trim, as we said before, we'll bring it in here and we'll paint it. So until then, hope you've enjoyed this. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.